Hello and welcome. My name is Ludwig Svensson and I'm an equity analyst here at Hansa Bank. With me today, I have Klaus Sindahl from Hansa Biopharma. Good morning, Klaus.
Good morning, Ludwig.
Good morning. So you released your Q4 report yesterday. Can you tell us about the highlights of the report?
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to do so. So overall, our product sales and our revenue came on to or landed around expectations. So for 2022, we realized revenue of 155 million Swedish krona, and for the quarter in isolation, it was 31 million Swedish krona, including 20 million in product sales. So this was more or less spot on to expectations. So that was good. This is the first real year of commercial sales. I mean, we started out in 2021, but 2022 is where we have obtained market access in now 11 countries. More specifically, we have landed agreements with Italy and Czech Republic here in the fourth quarter. So we have now landed market access agreements with 4 of the 5 major countries, which we of course believe we will see some leverage from in the years to come, given that it's very critical for the patient uptake that we get reimbursement also at the price we have communicated earlier. Then 2022 was also a very challenging year in the capital markets for biotech as such. But even though we managed to actually raise capital or raise financing through 2 events. So we had the NovaQuest transaction carried out back in July, which secured cash runway into 2024, and then in December we actually managed to do a directed share issue with select institutional investors in the US, which extends the cash runway even further into 2025. So we are very pleased with the outcome, given the challenges the biotech market have seen over the last 12-18 months. So that's more or less the highlights specifically to the quarter, and I'm happy to also address the development in the pipeline.
Perfect, Klaus. And just to be clear, can you please repeat the launch dynamics of Idefirix in Europe and how many clinics that are currently using Idefirix and how many patients they are treating? Can you just talk a little bit about this dynamic?
Yeah, we're not disclosing patient number as such, but to give you some kind of pillars to understand the launch dynamics. I mean, we aimed when we went into 2022 to get into roughly 25 clinics, leading centers that is, because these leading centers are where you have the competences, the know-how around desensitization of these highly sensitized patients. And it's the ambition to have these centers acting as centers of reference for others. But it's very important for us that we secure a good positive outcome in the first patients, because then we establish the foundation, the basis for repeat business to happen at the center level. And if you look at sales and you know our price point, you would get to roughly one treatment per center for 2022, right? So these are the dynamics. Also, please remember that we are carrying out a post-approval study in parallel. So even though we have 25 commercial clinics, we're also aiming to have 25 clinics involved in the post-approval study, where we will recruit 50 patients for that study. So whether we like it or not, I mean, this will also impact the slope of the launch take-up curve in the initial years. But this will, going forward, also create a basis for business to occur at the center level, because then these clinics will have experience going forward and we will convert new patients into commercial sales. So people also need to understand that this is also an investment in future commercial sales, which will benefit us going forward.
Great. And my next question, you obviously touched on it now, but considering that the stock reacted negatively on the report, what would you tell investors that had expected a more positive development this particular quarter in terms of product sales?
But I think overall, I mean, we're delivering according to our plan. I mean, people need to realize that it's a conditional approval, so there's only so much you can do until you have obtained full approval. I mean, we need to carry out this launch very diligently. I mean, if we start to treat very marginal patients, are too bullish, too active with centers, I mean, we also risk jeopardizing the business and the pipeline, right? So we need to secure this full approval. And then we will see a more accelerated uptake going forward when we have the full approval. We have the US approval, etc. So things will develop in a much faster pace. But we need to secure this basis initially. We need to have positive outcome. We need to have clinics be comfortable with our drug. And need to establish market access, not at least with these reimbursement agreements. But I mean, we are building this foundation, and now I was telling before that we have secured market access with 4 of the 5 largest markets. That's 2/3 of all transplantations in Europe. So we are getting there, and we are looking optimistic for the future.
Right, perfect, Klaus. Thank you for that. Just to finish this off, what triggers do you see coming up in the near future, and to sort of drive the share price now in the next couple of months and year?
We clearly have 2 ongoing programs with the patient enrollment. So the GBS trial, we have now 25 out of 30 patients enrolled. So we expect to complete that enrollment shortly here in the first half. Also, this ConfIdeS trial I was talking about in the US, we have 51. Actually, this morning we have 52 patients out of 64 patients enrolled. Of course, it's depending on randomization also, but we're clearly targeting a BLA submission in 2024, right? But with the GBS trial, we should have a data readout in the second half of the year, which is going to be very, very interesting. Then secondly, we have, or we will start 2 new clinical trials with our DMD program in gene therapy, something I personally I'm very excited about. This is with Sarepta, so the first program out of 2 programs we're moving into the clinic. And Sarepta is expected or have already filed a BLA and expect an approval in this indication, Duchenne muscular dystrophy, by summer. So this is something where we have very high expectations and potentially can do a small study. I mean, so it's not necessarily we have to go the traditional way through the clinical development. Secondly, I also want to address that our NICER program, so this program for new enzymes has also developed into the clinic following completion of IND-enabling tox studies. And we have now obtained a CTA, so a clinical trial application. So we can actually start a clinical trial here in the first half this year. So very, very exciting about this second generation program, which will address repeat dosing and open up a complete new space for Hansa. So I'm very excited about the future for our company and our compounds.
Great, thank you for that, Klaus. And it's obviously a very exciting year coming up with a lot of triggers, especially in the pipeline.
Absolutely.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you for this talk, Klaus.
Absolutely. Have a good day and a nice weekend. Okay, bye-bye.